Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to do your Handover video on this 2018 or 2019 AutoTrail Tracker. It's an RB model, which means it's got the fixed island bed in the rear. It is based on the 2.3 turbo diesel Fiat Ducato, and it is the automatic model. So really high spec in this particular cab, but I'll get to that in just a minute. So first thing I'm going to do is just show you under the bonnet. So on the left hand side we've got your washer fluid, power steering fluid, engine coolant and brake fluid. You've then got your engine oil and engine oil dipstick just down here. The bluey grey colour on here is Fiat 691. So that's if you want any touch-up paint for this kind of bluey grey colour. Got the chassis plate here, so the weight for this vehicle is 4.4 tonne, so you will need the C1 licence in order to drive it. The automatic transmission fluid has a little reservoir just down there. Air filter sits inside this box just here. You've then got, because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab, just under here, under this little cover, you can see. Because that's down there and not massively accessible, if you did need to jump start the van, you've got a positive terminal just down here. So you literally just lift this little cover up here, there's a positive terminal there, and an earthing point or a negative terminal just here, and it does say there for jump start. So that's how you get to those. Fuel filter sits at the back just there, but for under the bonnet I think that is about it. So it's a Ducato Maxi, which I believe is to do with the wheelbase, and it does seem to be quite a nice high up cab, you know, nice and sort of give you a better view of the road. These Ducatos are so comfortable and reliable. So you've got the bonnet release handle just here inside the passenger door, and the jack and wheel brace kit underneath the passenger seat. Fire extinguisher is just in here behind the passenger seat in case I don't show you that inside, and your tyre pressures are here on a little sticker. So just behind the passenger door, sorry, we've got the fuel filling point, and you will need your ignition key to get that open. Next locker on the near side here at the front is the gas locker. So you have got a refillable gas system in this particular vehicle. So if I just lift this up. So the refilling point is just down here behind this cover, the one that says Auto Gas. These are Gas-It refillable gas bottles. So all you need to know really is that you've got valves on the top to turn them on and off. So anti-clockwise round to the left turns them on, so you need to turn both of those on if you want to use it. And the only other thing I will say is that if you find that you can't get any gas to come through inside, you've got a little green button here, so press on that green button for a few seconds and that should purge it through and allow the gas into the vehicle. The only reason that would happen is if the vehicle or the regulator there thinks you've been in a crash, because you've got a crash sensor. So if you are in a crash or in an accident at all, it should isolate the gas for you from there. So that's why sometimes it can get a bit confused and think that you know that there's been an accident if you've gone over a big bump, and it'll knock off that crash sensor. So every now and again you'll have to press and hold that green button for a few seconds to allow it to come back through. So you've got the full length wind out awning at the top there, really nicely recessed into the body, so it doesn't stick out too much and cause any sort of you know, you're not going to catch it on anything because it's in line with the body, as you can see. We've got the two vents just here. These are both to do with your fridge. So if you ever needed to get to the back of the fridge for any reason, that is how you can get to that. We've then got your toilet cassette locker. This is a Thetford toilet cassette. So to actually remove the cassette itself, lift up on the little orange tab and then pull it out towards you. It will then come all the way out, and that gives you access to the whole thing. To empty it, we turn this little bit round here and take this cap out. That will then allow you to empty it out. Whilst you're emptying it out, you should be holding down the little orange button at the back. There you go. So that is your toilet cassette. So this little vent that just here that you can hear blowing away is your boiler vent. So this is your heating and hot water. Now you've got a Truma iNet ready system in this particular van, so that means it's the sort of latest sort of gadget they came with. I'll run you through how that works when we get inside, but if you did want to make sure this was definitely working on gas, if you've got it lit up on gas that is, you can put your hand underneath it here and you can feel and actually see quite a lot of condensation coming out through here, so we know that's definitely working. Inside this rear locker, might not look like very much, it's just basically storage underneath the bed, but you have got a little notch carved out on the side just here, and you can see a little yellow tab. So that little yellow tab is the drain for your boiler. So if you want to winterize the vehicle and you want to lock it up for winter and you don't want to use it, and you know, want to make sure there's no water in the system, you need to lift that little tab so it's facing upright, and then it will drain out all the water from the boiler straight down onto the floor. If you don't do that and the water freezes up inside the boiler and all those pipes around it, it will freeze up, expand, and you'll find you'll get leaks, you know, splits in the pipework. So it's really important to drain it out when you are, you know, ready to lock it up for winter, if you are. But there you go, that's how you can get to the boiler drain just there. The rest of it is all just extras that the previous owners left. Looks like an awning to me. Yeah, there you go. So at the back just here we've got your external gas point, which is a whale system, so that's your external barbecue point if you like, just there. Spare wheel sits inside this rear locker at the back, so you can basically undo this little front cover, and then that gives you access to a big screwing nut that allows you to take this cover out. So the spare wheel sits just inside there, which is something that AutoTrail have done for years and years. You've got the reversing camera just there below the center brake light, and what looks like reversing sensors down there as well. So we've then got down low, we've got the freshwater drain off point. So the blue handle is your fresh drain, and then further along up that way is your wastewater drain. So grey waste, that's your wastewater. So we have got external water point to the left and water filling point to the right, both Whale again, so they would have been in a sort of agreement with Whale when they were building these vehicles. So yeah, both water bits and pieces over here on the offside. Last locker here, got an external water drop-in pipe and a piece that the previous owners obviously had made up for that external water point. But there you go. So, storage locker basically. Hookup I've got plugged in at the moment just so I can show you some things working inside, and so that I don't have to worry about the leisure battery or anything like that. But yeah, I think that's about it for the outside. Another sort of clever thing they've included in this particular design is these little kind of weep holes on the roof. So years ago these vans were sort of, well, not this particular style, but a lot of the vehicles that have got these higher roofs struggled with water pooling up on the roof. So this one should, in theory, drain out all the water from the roof through those little weep holes in each corner. There's one in each corner. So fingers crossed that has solved that issue. Alright, so I'm just going to jump in the cab. So as I said, this is a really good high spec cab. I don't think there's really any extras that there's, I mean there may be one or two, but I can't see much that it's not got. Previous owner has left a little sort of tick list, if you like, before driving off, and the length and details of the vehicle, so you can, you know, go through there and make sure that you're happy before you drive off. So automatic gearbox just there, so you've got neutral top right, auto manual and reverse. you've got your air conditioning switch from just here, sat nav, and the reversing camera comes up on this original screen as well. Hazard lights, lock and unlock the cab. These bits are to do with the cruise control and the nav, I think, the sat nav. Cruise control is from the lower bit just here on the left hand side. Lights and indicators are on the the top left hand side. Washers and wipers are on the right, and you've got your electric adjusting mirrors from here. Mileage on this particular van, I'm not going to turn it on because I've got the hookup plugged in, but mileage on here is 22,300. So I think that's about it for the cab, really. You have got the entertainment system in here. Let's just bring that down. So it's a nice modern screen, as you'd come to expect nowadays. The older ones up to a certain year were a little bit outdated, so I'm glad they've updated that. So might have to turn it on from the top. Yeah, I'll have to turn it on from up the from in the back end, but that's the entertainment system there. If you want to use that, that is where it comes down from. There's a little sort of catch just here. Light switches for in the front, reading lights, and of course these front seats do swivel round from pulling these little handles here and turning the physical seat. All right, so I'm just going to turn around and jump into the back end now. So the vehicle itself, even though it is very, very sort of high spec and top end, the actual appliances that have been put into the vehicle from standard are very nice and easy to use, which is always a really handy thing. I'll run you through everything, of course, but you know, this particular vehicle, it has been designed and sort of laid out really nicely, so it is nice and easy to use. So first thing I'm going to just show you is in these front overhead lockers. Previous owner, again, to be very kind, and left quite a few bits and pieces. So this is for that external water point. You plug it into it, and then you've got a shower hose coming out the other side. These are going to be some different valves or different fittings for the gas filling point. So if you were abroad, you need different fittings, and that'll be those in there. And on the other side, we got some sort of lock. Yeah, a lock for something. I'd have to find out what that's for, or work out what it's for, but there you go. Left all their goodies in there for you. Okay, so above the door, so this is the habitation door. Even still got the factory original umbrella there from AutoTrail. So as you come to expect nowadays on a vehicle of this sort of age, control panel is all touchscreen and you know, really, really nice and easy to use. So you've got the main on and off switch on the top left hand side, as you can see. We've then got all three light switches on the right, so I'll turn those back on. You've got dimmable lights under here, or at least they come on a dimmer. You can probably adjust the dimmer on here. Backlight, no. Set dimming level. If I turn that down, I'm not sure if that's, oh yeah, it is, there you go. So that's gone really dim down there now. If I turn it up, probably a bit easier to see in person, but there you go. Oh, hold on a second. Set dimming level, I'll put it back to 100 so it's all on fully. Okay, so once you've got all of these switched on, we can then go ahead and use all of the lights. So as long as you've got the power switch on and these three switches over here illuminated, you'll then be able to go around and use any and every light in the vehicle. So everything will basically have 12-volt power going to it. It also means you'll be able to use this fan in here. All right, so that'll spring to life. It's all touch screen as well. So that's how you use the lights. We've then got water level and battery level indicator. All right, so that's this switch just here. Fresh level, we've got 100% in the fresh water tank and 0% in the waste. Press next, and it'll come up with our leisure and all of the battery levels. Okay, so you've got leisure battery voltage 13.3, that's perfect. 12.3 in the vehicle. The amount of current being drawn from the battery, mains current, so that's how much power is coming in from the mains cable, and solar current. So it's pretty dark outside, and we've got the hookup plugged in, so it doesn't need it to be on anyway. That's assuming there is a solar panel. I haven't actually checked that. So yeah, so that's how you go through and check all your sort of amperages and voltages, and fresh and wastewater level. The bottom one is the same. You can flick through to both. Okay, so now that we've seen that we've got some fresh water in the tank, and I've made sure that our drain for the boiler is in the down position, I can now turn on the pump and get us up to pressure. So once you turn that pump on, it will run for a few seconds until it gets to its correct pressure, and then it should, in theory, turn itself off, which it has done. Okay, so once you've heard that, once you've turned it on and the pump's turned itself off, or even if it hasn't turned itself off just yet, come over to the tap here, and we'll pull the water through on the cold side and turn it around to the hot. Listen for the pump to turn itself off. There you go. So doing that, doing what I've literally just done just there, by drawing the water through and making sure that there's no coughing and spluttering and that we've got good pressure, all that really does is prove to us that the boiler is full and that we've got no air in the system and we're up to pressure. So because your pump in this particular vehicle sounds like it's down here somewhere, probably under the cooker, because it works on pressure, it means that it will not turn off unless it's up to pressure. So if there's a leak somewhere or if there's air in the system, that pump will not turn itself off because it can't. Okay, so that's why it's so important to run this tap and make sure that you've got no air in the system coming through the tap before you start trying to light the boiler up heat the water up and stuff like that. Okay, so that's just the first thing I'm going to run you through there. That's nice and easy. We've got loads of storage right the way through there, and on the other side underneath the sink we've got a bigger opening from the side just there. Okay, so staying above the door here, we've got your Truma iNet Ready system. So this is your heating and hot water. So these are really simple to use. So you click the main center button until you get to this screen just here. You are basically hovering over each one of these things when you scroll through. Okay, so at the moment we're hovering over this one here, which is the heating inside the vehicle. So I click on that and we've got it set to 20. So whatever the temperature is inside the vehicle, it's currently trying to get to 20 degrees. The next one over is water heating. So it's off at the moment. I can turn it on eco, hot, or boost. So I'll just put it on hot for now. So now we've got the heating working and the hot water working. We then need to select what energy to use it on. So at the moment we're on gas only. I can scroll through to mix 1 or mix 2, which is a mixture of gas and electric. Electric 1 or electric 2, which is electric only. So that's your electric hookup. Okay, so at the moment, again, I mean, I have got the hookup plugged in, so I could use it on mix 1, mix 2, or electric 1 or electric 2, but I just fancy using it on gas, so I'm going to leave it there on gas. Next one over is the fan speed. So I click on that. I've got it on high at the moment, or you can have it on eco. All right, so that there, the fan speed, is basically telling the vehicle, or telling the Truma system, how fast it wants the fan to run to pump the air out through these vents. So I can feel it at the moment, really nice and warm coming through there. I've had the heating on for probably, I don't know, half an hour, and the vehicle is already nice and warm. So, I mean, you can see that straight away there. Look, so external temperature on the control panel, 7 degrees, internal 12 degrees. And like I said, I've only had it on for half an hour. So that is a big jump in not much time. So very efficient heating system. And as I was saying, outside, pretty reliable, to be fair. I don't think we've had any issues really with the iNet systems. So that's how you use the heating and hot water. Hopefully that made sense. When you want to turn everything off, all you have to do is hover over these two here, click on it, and then turn it all the way back down to off. So that's our heating off. And then hovering over the hot water, turn that down to off. And now that's everything off. As long as there's nothing up here, everything's off. And if you want to turn it completely off, press and hold in the middle, and it'll come up saying off with some dots, I think. There you go. All right, so that's how you use the Truma iNet Ready system. That is your heating and hot water. So, next thing is this absolutely massive, great big Thetford fridge. So this is a three-way fridge. It works on 3 different energies, and we've got a freezer unit up here at the top. So I'm going to close the door actually for a second, just so I can show you a bit easier. So we've got a main on and off switch here on the left hand side. So press and hold that to turn the screen on. All the time that you've got a green light inside this little power switch, it means that the fridge is on and working. If it starts flashing red at you, it means you've got a fault somewhere. And if it goes out, it means that the fridge hasn't got any power. So at the moment, the fridge, we know, we can see the green light is on there. We know it's on and it's working on one or another energy. So to see what energy it's working on, we'll press this button just here. And it's come up telling us that the hookup is powering the fridge right now, and it's on full power. So if I want to change that, I'll press and hold on this little button here. And then I can physically flick through the 3 energies. So the next one along, this battery symbol, it should flash red at us. There you go. That is for when your engine is running and when you're driving. Okay, so assuming that you pre-cooled the fridge before you leave, you can switch over to 12 volt, and this will keep the fridge cold whilst you drive. The next one, if I press and hold it again, the next energy is gas. Press on that and press it again, and it will light up. So it's just lit straight away, I heard it. So that's that. So the mains hookup, the first one that was on already, or the gas, are the only 2 that will get this fridge cold by itself, okay? So that's how you have to cool the fridge down in the first place. And then when you start the engine up to drive off to wherever you're going, switch over to 12 volt for one you're driving. And then when you get to where you're going, switch back to one of either the gas or the mains electric. The reason, if I just quickly explain, I don't want to sort of chew your ear off about it, but the reason that the fridge has to pre-cool, and also the fact that you can only use the 12 volt on when you're driving. So the 12 volt basically takes its power from the alternator. So you've got, on all decent motorhomes, you've got what's called a split charger or a split relay. And basically what that does is it takes some of the power from the alternator whilst the engine's running and sends it back to the leisure battery and the fridge. So that all the time that you're driving, the leisure battery is getting a good charge up and the fridge is getting sent a little bit of power in order to keep cold whilst you drive. So that's how that works there. It also is, the reason that they have to do that is because obviously you can't have the gas on whilst you're driving, or you shouldn't do, and the electric hookup obviously can't be plugged in whilst you drive either. So the only actual possible way to use it is the 12 volt anyway. So switch over to 12 volt, the battery symbol when you drive, and then switch back to one of the other 2 once you're stopped. So that's the fridge. I'll switch that off now just by pressing and holding on this switch. There we go. In the cupboard to the right of the fridge, we've got your full-sized standalone table in there. And possibly some gas bits in here. No, loads of storage in there. Oop. It's my fault, I just leant into that. So, under the oven, we've got, as I said, the water pump under there. And some gas isolators over on the left. I don't know if you can see that or not. Each gas isolator, to actually isolate it, you just turn it 90 degrees so it's laying down flat. They've all got a symbol on them. This front one here, I can just about see, that is the fridge. The rest of them I can't actually see from here, but looks like the next one's the boiler. The last one's the cooker. and so that must be the external gas. But yeah, so you've got the isolators down there for the gas system. So if you wanted to isolate the gas from any individual appliances, under the fridge is where you go to do that. All right, so you've got the light switch on here for the oven. Nice and bright. You've also got the ignition on here. All right, so because this is an AutoTrail and it's a British built vehicle, they give you access and they give you the ability to use pretty much everything on either gas or electric. So even in the case of the cooker here, you have got the electric ring at the back. So that is only going to work when your hookup's plugged in, but it just gives you the option. So if you were plugged in on mains, you can use the electric ring on the cooker, you can heat the van up and heat the water up via the electric, you can cool the fridge down on the electric, you can use the microwave on the electric. You know, pretty much everything in this vehicle can work on either gas or electric. All right, so if you were going off grid, you can use the cooker on the gas, you can use the fridge on the gas, you can use the heating on the gas, hot water on the gas. The only thing in here that you can't use on both really is the microwave. So there you go. So electric ring at the back, that should be this one. There you go. So that's your electric ring at the back. The rest of them you do have to light up with the ignition, but I don't tend to run through these really because it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just like your household cooker, as long as it's gas, obviously. There you go. So again, I don't really tend to run through the microwaves either because they're no different to a household one. There should be some paperwork for it in the folder, but there's obviously various settings on there for you know, all sorts. So the layout in here is absolutely brilliant. You get the separate shower, which is actually still a decent size, separate shower in there, and separate toilet and sink unit in there. So I've always loved this kind of idea. I don't know who did it first, what brand did it first, but I've always loved this, where you can open this door up from the bathroom and completely close it up here, so it makes kind of like a bathroom area at the back, if you like. So if you did have somebody staying in the front end of the vehicle and you're staying in the back, you can separate the front from the back completely still, and have your shower and whatever, you know, so you're separate. So that's how that works in there. And if you were wondering about this little door latch in the future, it's a little magnet. So if you go across here, it closes up like that. So when you do this, it doesn't actually do anything, but when you push it forwards, it's a magnet, so it pulls out. So if you were wondering why this doesn't come out, it's not broken, it's just the way it works. So the toilet is normally the only thing I tend to run through in the bathrooms because they're normally the only thing that people can't just sort of work out, if you haven't used one of these ones before, that is. So what you've got, it's really, really simple. You've got a handle down here which you can push to the right or pull back. So pushing it to the right opens the flap into the cassette. Okay, so opening that flap drains everything out from in the bowl into the cassette so that you can drain it out. The only other thing you've got to know is that you've got a button on the back here, blue button, which is the flush. All right, so that's flushing around and then you drain it into the cassette. Easy as that. And there you go. When you pull the cassette out, you will get a red light coming up on there telling you that the cassette is half out. And you should also get another light come up when you have to empty it, although it is quite obvious when you have to empty it. Okay, so that's about it for the bathroom, really. Shower unit, I mean, it's just literally a hot and cold shower tap and head, just like a household one. The only difference really with the whole sort of shower system and the hot water system is that on a motorhome, generally speaking, if you've got a Truma system, you only get the amount of hot water that you've warmed up, you know, so it's not constant hot water. It won't go on for half an hour. you get 10 litres of hot water, and when it starts to run out, you know, you've run out, sort of thing, and it will take another sort of half an hour or so to heat back up again. But you know, normally if you're going to have 1 or 2 showers, it's plenty. Just try and be a little bit more careful with the amount of water that you use, is all I would say. As I said, we've got the side island bed in here, which is another ever popular layout. The general island bed layout is where you'd have the island bed coming from the back, but actually having this type of layout means that you can still get all the way around it still. The bed pulls down all the way out, so it goes dead flat as well. So I think it's quite a nice layout personally. Lots of people do like these island beds. It looks to me like AutoTrail are hinting towards the fact that you could put a TV here in this little space here, because you've got a 240 volt socket, 12 volt socket, and an aerial socket there as well. So I mean, it would make sense going by where the bed is, but that's where you could have a TV potentially in the future there. Loads of storage, and as I said, the boiler itself sits underneath the bed here, so you can get to all of that from under there. But yeah, you shouldn't ever really need to, apart from that drain on the outside that I showed you. Looks like onboard Wi-Fi to me, which again there should be loads of paperwork for in the folder, which is here. Carpets are all here rolled up and cleaned, because we always take the carpets up so you can see the floor, and we can clean it obviously. So that's all in there. If you want to put those back down, I would always recommend putting them back down. It just does, you know, it helps to warm the van up a little bit quicker and keeps the heat in a bit nicer. But if you are going to be obviously making it messy, then probably best leave it off. So I think that is about it. I don't think there's anything I've missed out. If there is anything, you know, or if you want anything going over again or anything at all, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.